All right, we're back. Episode 120 something, Soapy?
21.
121. Morse Code Podcast is always proudly brought to you by Cold River Vodka. Check them out on social media at Cold River Vodka or www.coldrivervodka.com. That's the address on the World Wide Web. And Brian Lahey, super producer Brian, is back in the building with us tonight, as you can see, or if you're listening, as you'll probably hear eventually. I assume he'll say something within the next 45 to 50 minutes. So
I've got him
not to.
So we'll see.
I was hoping to stay silent and just stare at you guys the whole time.
And that works too. Whatever. We keep it pretty loose tonight. At time of recording is officially the conclusion of the 2020-2021 National Basketball Association season. Milwaukee Bucks are your world champions. Giannis Antetokounmpos is your finals MVP. Good series, no?
Fantastic series.
Really good series. Good playoffs, actually, in general. I was thinking about that earlier today. Like a lot of just memorable games, memorable plays, like viral moments. Even like just the finals. Like I'm trying to think like when the last time there was a finals with so many like memorable big talk, like Giannis's block, the steal and alley-oop, everything last night, everything Giannis did after the finals.
Yeah, right.
Probably going up to like right now. He's still doing something.
I would say, honestly, in my opinion, this is probably the best finals that I've seen easily within the past 5 years or so, but it could be longer than that. I know we were texting about that. It could be close to like 10 years, to be honest with you.
Yeah, like last year was nothing. Toronto year, even like the Cavs Warriors, I guess. What was the best one? 16 when the Cavs
the 3-1.
Yeah.
What was before that? Then it was just right into the Heat Spurs series, which were good. Heat Spurs 1 was really good. Yeah. Heat Thunder stunk. Mavericks Heat was good.
Loved Mavericks Heat. That was a good one.
That was a good series for so many like Lahey-like reasons. And then it was a bunch of Celtics Lakers. Yeah, it's probably the best one in the last 10 years. That and the 3-1 Cavs year. But I don't know. I mean, I know we have some questions from listeners. We got some stuff written down, but any general takeaways? I don't know. Do you want to start with the narratives, either CP3 or Giannis, or I guess anything in general, Lahey, before we kind of get going?
I'm already seeing the CP3 narratives of Scott Foster being the reason why Chris Paul didn't win the finals, and that drives me absolutely bananas.
I haven't seen as much of that as I thought I would today. Have you guys? Like Scott Foster talk?
No, I sent you guys what I saw on like Instagram and everything, but not being on Twitter, I don't really see it as quick as you guys do.
Yeah. What do you think? So everything Brian just said, true?
True. Can confirm.
Great input.
Love that.
Fantastic. Glad you're here.
I mean, I have already seen numerous photoshopped images of Chris Paul in the Lakers jersey. So apparently that's like the new thing we're going to look at going forward. Russell Westbrook too.
The Chris Paul one wouldn't surprise me just because of the fact that we were talking about it when I was last on, how he opted out of that 41 million or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, where they lost, just from what I was watching in the finals, it didn't seem like Booker and Paul could both consistently be playing well at the same time in a game. It seemed like they would play well in shifts. So it'd be like Booker would be on fire and then Paul would be on fire and Booker would be useless and vice versa. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns don't even bother trying to re-sign him. I mean, I also think that Bridges is up on his rookie deal and he needs to be re-signed.
Yeah, they got a few free agents. Campaign's a free agent.
Yeah.
Bridges, Chris Paul, obviously.
Yeah.
What's Ayton's? He must have already signed his second contract.
I think he just
5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, he hasn't been in the league that long.
2018, right? Oh yeah. What am I thinking? Yeah,
he's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah. Okay. Good point.
He
might have signed an extension yet. Then
he might have signed the 2-year team option from his rookie deal. I don't remember seeing anything about that though, so I don't know.
It's weird how guys like I know Tatum signed the early extension, Mitchell signed the early extension. I thought Ayton was one of those guys too who would have done it a year earlier, but
So I know the only advantage that they have to waiting is if they win more accolades, they can sign for a higher contract on the max deal if they are available for the max deal. Because I know Booker signed a massive contract after his rookie deal, and that's because he waited and
you got All-Star, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it changed that.
Ayton wasn't an All-Star, right? This year, I don't think he's had anything. No all defense, just going to work every day.
They're also on. They're also on West Coast time, so they just might be like a few hours behind.
Well, that's a good point. That's true. There's still normal business hours out in the valley.
Half the team doesn't even know that the game happened last night yet.
No,
they haven't seen it on TV.
Yeah, tough luck. I think all those fans are still outside the arena waiting for Game 7.
So a lot of spoiler alerts.
It's not going to happen. Episode. Yeah, if you're a West Coast listener, sorry, but yeah, it's over. There's no more games they can
play.
My
favorite thing about last night was it seemed like every time I would text you guys something about what was happening in the game, the game would exactly shift and go in the exact opposite direction. So early on, I was like, the Suns are getting open looks. They just got to nail some shots. And then they just forgot to play basketball for a while. And it was just like, oh, this is a runaway. And then all of a sudden they tied the game and took the lead. And I'm just like, I'm just going to stop texting because that was an ugly,
that was a really ugly game. Oh, ugly start to the game.
Yeah.
Like that was big sloppy. And going back real quick, you mentioned Ayton. I know Booker had a few, well, I don't want to downplay it. He had a few 40-point huge games. That was him and Ayton, I thought looked lost last night. Ayton especially. Ayton had a tough series.
Ayton last night, especially getting into foul trouble early, he never had a chance to get into a rhythm. And I think that's something that the Suns are going to have to focus on is who else do you pair up with Ayton to play defense on the post? He can't do it by himself. You saw Giannis just get him into foul trouble and then all of a sudden run to the hoop whenever he wanted. So
they have Frank Kaminsky. I don't know what you're asking for here.
I think his contract's up too.
Oh, jeez. It's going to be a tough couple of months in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's going to be a big free agent splash.
That GM is in for a hell of a summer. He's got some numbers to crunch out in the valley. Because let's just assume Kaminsky gets a max. So that's probably 140 over 5 or something.
I don't even know if the NBA would allow that to be his max.
Yeah, it's like in fantasy football, all the other owners have to vote on it, through email. That leaves a couple million a year for Chris Paul, and then I don't know, $65,000 a year plus health benefits for a campaign. So I don't know. They'll probably be back next year if they can get the numbers right. If they can keep Kaminsky happy.
People are saying that that's their big three.
Yeah. Never mind. I was gonna say PJ Tucker, but I'm thinking of the wrong team.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who's the power forward in Phoenix?
Crowder.
Who?
Jay Crowder.
Oh, Crowder. I thought you said Carter. Yeah, that makes sense.
Vince Carter. He came back out of retirement and played power forward for a little while.
Yeah, but okay, Jay Crowder, perfect. No, that's not going to get it done. Especially against, you're probably going to face not Milwaukee, but Lakers are big like that. Clippers are big. I think, like I said, they kind of got a few breaks going to the finals. And then just a Chris Paul team going up 2-0 and then getting swept is just...
made me happy.
I loved it.
Yeah. I loved it so much. I think we all three of us can agree that
I really enjoyed
we're not Chris Paul fans at all.
It's funny because we talked a lot going into it about hopping on the Suns bandwagon, which I was fine with, and then I think it's because Chris Paul was out. It was during his health and safety protocols. And then he came back and it's this team's not as fun. He's such a buzzkill, dude.
Yeah. My favorite thing last night was Bobby Portis literally blocking Chris Paul from talking to Scott Foster mid-game. I thought that was the funniest thing.
That'd actually be a good pickup for Phoenix. Someone like Bobby Portis. Either come off the bench or even just fucking start. I think he's bigger than Jay Crowder, isn't he?
Yeah. Bobby Portis, I would think he's probably 6'10", 6'11", somewhere in that range. Jay Crowder, I can't imagine is about 6'7", 6'8".
He had a great moment last night where I think he was called for a foul or out of bounds and did that weird high step literally all the way across the court out of bounds. Tech, that's what it was.
Yeah,
that and then fucking Deion Sanders.
And then the funniest thing about it was not even 30 seconds of game time later, Devin Booker does the same thing and there's no tech call.
Very strange.
I love that.
Series for Devin. I heard this is some podcast or something today. They were talking about, I think it was game 5 when like the questionable no call on Devin Booker, when people were like, oh yeah, it was like 8
in transition.
fouls.
Yeah.
Which was pretty go ahead.
I was gonna say they lost that game. It's not like calling that foul on Booker changes the outcome of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Let them foul out at that point and they still lose. You know what I mean? It's not like they won because of that. So who cares about that call?
I think in theory, like that's a good as time as ever. Like late in a very meaningful finals game to kind of, one of Soapy's favorite terms in sports, swallow your whistle. Yeah. But that one was just like, that wasn't egregious. Like that's not the one to swallow your whistle.
Such a bad foul. Yeah. It was that's so bad.
That's one of those ones where even if it's a clean jump ball, if the way that you go about like trying to get it is bear hugging a guy, it's just an automatic whistle on a fucking fast break too. So it's like there's no other action that you have to look at. It's a isolated play.
It's tough to like give a makeup no call on a clear path foul. That's not the time to do it
on a flagrant 1 foul.
Jeez Louise, no kidding. But the reason I asked, because I thought this was interesting, I meant to write it down in our notes, but I think it's like someone said it was either a high school rule or maybe like a European rule. If everyone fouls out to the point where you have 5 or less players, what will happen is you can keep your 5th player in, but every foul after 5, it's a technical. So the other team gets a shot and possession. I think that'd be kind of a cool rule. Like, even if you let like the team choose, like, hey, you can either have this guy foul out or every time he fouls, like the other team gets 2 shots in possession. I would do that all day. If it's someone like Devin Booker, if it's someone like Jake.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, much better example. Like, sure, go sit, Draymond. But I don't know. Also, that's a pretty... I can't imagine that's ever happened in the NBA. You're literally you run out of players to play with because they've all felt that.
No, I mean, I would be surprised if there was a game with more than one, 2 people thrown out on a team. And realistically, I would think most of those are not even like the 6 foul toss. I feel like those are like brawl and players get tossed mid game. You know what I mean? And just get ejected. So
yeah. So the actual question we had in our notes, maybe Soapy, I'll let you kick this one off. Giannis or CP3, which story is bigger? I think we just spent a good time talking about CP3. I think you put that in there, Soapy. What do you think?
Surprisingly, I think it's been like people loving Giannis more than people hating on Chris Paul, which is fine with me, I guess.
Yeah. It's way more fun.
Yeah, because everyone agrees at this point, like Giannis is probably the most likable athlete in like a long time. And I feel like it elevated so quick in about like 72 hours between that ego speech, the 2 games. Wait, no, actually, was it really? So the block,
the ego speech, the block. I think him on a national stage for the first time really in quite some time. He's never gone deep into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think another thing that he won fans over with is that, and it's such a cheesy little thing, but that press conference he did where he was smiling like a friggin' idiot going into it for like 30 seconds and someone asked him questions and he just goes, I'm just here so I don't get fined, and does his little giggle and then answers the question. So I think little antics like that made people realize that he's just a genuinely nice guy.
He's a cool kid. Yeah. He's 26. Like that's the scariest part. I was listening to something on the way over. I had to run a quick errand before I hopped on. Like he's a kid. Like he's 26 years old. Like he looks like a monster, but he's far younger than I am. He's far more. He's more athletic than I am. Not far more athletic, but like he is.
It's close. It's real
definitely,
close.
It's arguable.
You guys are equally Greek, which a lot of people don't know.
No one knows that. Not even me, up until you just mentioned it. But they're comparing like where he's at 26 to like Michael, LeBron, I think even like Kareem or like some older guy. He has 2 MVPs, a Finals MVP, a DPOY. Probably could have had more. You could even argue he should have won MVP this year. Does he have a most improved? Okay, that too. I think it was 5 All-Stars. I don't know how many All-NBAs, but at least I don't know 4, maybe more. And then now the title. So LeBron, I think, was an MVP and a title. LeBron might have had 2. No, I think he had 1. And one title. And anyway, there's going down the line. And then someone either called in or something was like the one you need to compare him to is Tim Duncan. Like Tim Duncan had two MVPs, 2 titles, I think all-stars like every year, all NBAs, whatever. And the reason I bring it up is just that trajectory is crazy. Like if you think his peak is probably what, like now till 30, like 31, maybe 32, depending on how athletes kind of like age going forward. It's a scary thought because I know we'll get into this too, Sophie. You were talking last night about what does Giannis do with his career? Does he stay in Milwaukee? Does he go elsewhere? I think I think he'll go elsewhere eventually. It's just too long of a time frame to say he's going to stay in one place. It's not crazy to think he can win another title in Milwaukee. And then if he does go elsewhere, I assume it would be to be in a better position or a similar position to win. He has a chance to have an all-time career, maybe top 10. Definitely, I'd say like top 15-ish type of guy. So I don't know. You're still in the firm belief he's staying in Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like I could go either way on that, but if I had to choose, I think, yeah, he stays in Milwaukee because number one, like signing the contract extension early, which no one saw coming after how they fizzled out in the playoffs last year. Like you didn't know, number one, if his coach was going to be back, or you knew the coach.
Is his coach going to be back?
Like how?
I still think that's a relevant question.
Like how long of a leash that they had on Budenholzer after last year's playoffs, and I think that he was pretty close and closely linked with Giannis as like definitively his guy, and that's why he had been there for as long as he's been. So to sign that early, and then to win, and then now like you hear him talking about all the anti-super team stuff that came out.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that, yeah, I mean, he didn't grow up here. So he doesn't have the friendships around the league that like every other superstar has.
Yeah.
And I think there probably is just, he doesn't have the same mindset as the other guys who like are in this more to play for fun and like eventually
he's not like anybody
playing with their friends. I think he just wants to win or at least do it on different terms from everyone else. So I think there's a good chance. But yeah, I mean,
it's just
he is still so fucking young.
That's like 12 years potentially.
Right, but I agree with Soapy on this one because of the fact that they already won and he's young. You see how close he is with Drew and Chris Middleton. I realistically think, all things considered, in Milwaukee, as long as they keep Drew and Chris, Giannis stays in Milwaukee. I think if they all of a sudden blow it up, but I don't foresee why they would do that. I mean, look at how many franchises hold on to they won a championship with players X, Y, and Z, and they hold on to them for as long as they can, even when it doesn't make sense to. You know what I mean? And they become irrelevant teams, but the fans still cheer on, like, oh, remember when we won that one championship with these 3 guys?
Yeah.
So right. I just, especially where Soapy hits a great point. He didn't come out of college with all his friends. He didn't make friends during the draft or anything like that. Even early on in his career, he realistically wasn't highly touted and sought after at all. I mean, that's why he went, what was it, 18 or something like that in that draft? Like, it was just a risk pick that the Bucks just threw a dart on the wall and said, let's try it, let's see what happens. And it just panned out. I mean, I just realistically, I don't see a reason for him to leave. Honest to God, he already landed a championship there, and they're always going to be able to pay him more than any other team. Why would he leave?
I will say, even though like even with all of his accomplishments, I'm still glad that the Celtics took Kelly Olynyk over him.
Oh, of course. If you look like long term, I still like Olynyk's trajectory over Giannis's.
That's the second half of this podcast is talking about his career arc.
Yeah, so Kelly Olynyk's in the waiting room, so we're gonna bring him in now.
What team is he even on? Is he a Rocket? What team is he even on right now?
I think he's on the Rockets.
He's on the Rockets, and he's a free agent. And there's been some recent shows where he's been linked to like, oh, is that a possible guy that the Celtics should target?
No,
again, because it worked out so great the first
again. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, just add Giannis to the list of like almost the all Danny Ainge almost had him team.
Do you know what would be interesting for a free agency? Just because you touched on it with Olynyk.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Lonzo Ball go? I don't think the Pelicans re-sign him at any point.
Nah, he's going somewhere. I'd like him in Boston, but it doesn't sound like that's possible.
I think that's going to be really interesting to follow where he ends up in free agency because he made such a big jump recently.
Big time. I think before all this Russell Westbrook and Chris Paul talk came out today, I think the Los Angeles Lakers would be a great fit again.
Yeah.
I don't know where else. I mean, maybe
the corniest Photoshop of
moves. Who, Lonzo?
It was Lakers related, but it was him. So it was the back of him.
Yeah.
The back of him had hit the floor with a Lakers jersey. So he was on the floor looking to be picked up. And you could tell it was the back of him because it was the old Lakers jersey. He didn't have any tattoos, and it was his old like Afro hairstyle. And then the guy picking him up was present day Lonzo in the new Lakers jersey with hair, a shaved head, and it was like a bunch of like tattoos and stuff. And it was the corniest looking.
Was Kobe in the clouds behind him,
black and the white
shining a light down
that we talked about?
Oh God, yeah, I think Kobe had to be there somewhere.
It was just like, man, this is. I can't even explain it. It was just extremely dramatic.
Yeah, that's the Derrick Rose graphic that was going around forever. It was Derrick Rose. That's literally it. It was like a Timberwolves and Knicks Derrick Rose picking up like torn MCL Derrick Rose and like bringing him back to life. Yeah, that's absurd. It's all. That makes it seem like Lonzo got in like a car accident and has been like rehabbing in a full body cast for the last like 2 years.
Yeah, and he's like understandably, a legendary player.
Yeah, well, he's understandably better at basketball than he was as a rookie at 18 years old. You could probably make that graphic for any 22-year-old player in the league.
Yeah.
It looks like a graphic that you'd save for like a 30 for 30 about a guy who has like a miraculous comeback from a car accident.
Yeah. Oh, boy, that's tough. I think it's time to abolish the New Orleans Pelicans. They deserve a company.
That'd be
somebody. I don't know who. I don't know if it's David. Is it David Griffin who's still the GM there? Someone's running that place into the ground.
I have no idea who's running it, but I mean,
I don't know anything about the Pelicans.
It's AD all over again. They got a top tier pick and spent it on a power forward, and they're gonna waste his career and eventually trade him for like 4 young players and a bunch of draft picks to just do it all over again. The cycle's just going to keep repeating itself.
He's got to get out of there soon. Ingram too. They just got to one day just like text each other, be like, "What the fuck are we doing? Like, let's go." I don't know who our coach is or who our boss is, but like we need to talk to upper management and get out of here. Do you guys see? I think it was what's his name. Tremont Waters is like loosely demanding a trade or requesting a trade.
He's
requesting trades has to stop. Yeah.
What's with
you need to be an all-pro, I think.
Players requesting a trade. Like
it's a real pandemic, some say. It's not great.
Like, how do you think that you're going to be able to request a trade and get anything? Like, I would be shocked if someone like Tremont Waters could get a 2nd-round pick in value. And you could even say
that'd be a steal.
Considering Drummond went for like a 2nd-round pick, there's no way you're getting anything for him. If anything, you're going to get somebody
player.
Yeah, you're going to get a team that's trying to dump salary. It's like, okay, we'll take Draymond. You can take $20 million and this bum player that you're not going to use either.
I'd do that. Yeah.
I'd do that, Kemba.
Wait,
I'd take Kelly Olynyk in a package centered around Kelly Olynyk. How did he get to the Rockets? I thought he was part of the Harden deal for some reason, but that wouldn't make any sense. Because he was on the Heat, right? Before he went to the Rockets.
That's the last place I remember him.
He's definitely on the Rockets.
Yeah.
Boy, that team blows. No pun intended. That team stinks. Besides like Christian Wood and a bunch of guys who, anytime they were on TV. John Wall's there, but it's like.
He's there. Like he's arrived.
I'm trying to think. Is Eric Gordon still in the Rockets?
Yeah. They tried to move him hard at the deadline to a contender, and no one wanted him because he's making like $20-something million a year. Yeah, so any team that's going to take him off the bench isn't paying that much for him.
I really wish Christian Wood went to the Olympics. I did hear it come out that it was down to Christian Wood and JaVale McGee. And I don't know what makes the choice. Yeah.
How does JaVale make it over Christian Wood?
That is
isn't that weird?
An old school classic radio debate. Question's been around for a long time.
I know.
In
That's
what
strange.
world are you choosing JaVale McGee over Christian Wood?
I hope they win. And just add to the JaVale McGee.
The legacy, the Hall of
Legacy.
Fame legacy of JaVale McGee.
I'm telling you, bro, they're going to argue it. He's got 2 or 3 rings right now, right? 3?
I think he has 3.
Okay, give him a
I think
gold
it's
medal.
3.
He like just stumbles upon another 2 and has somehow some sort of meaningful finals moment. It's going to be Robert Horry all over again. People are going to be like, is this guy a Hall of Famer?
What if he stumbles on another
jump
4
out my
being a
3rd
bench
floor
player?
window. God almighty.
Oh,
If Robert Horry gets into the Hall of Fame, then like it's game over. Like there's going to be no, like, it's crazy. Go ahead, Soap. Not that I think anyone else is going to get 7 whatever rings he has. But.
I have a statement.
Go ahead.
I just have a statement.
This isn't the White House, so you can just say whatever you want.
You're a press
No, I
release
just
to
have a
accompany the
phrase.
statement. Like, what is happening?
I don't even have a statement. It's just a phrase, and I would like Lahey's reaction to it.
I would just
Since
like
we're
to
on
continue the
Lakers.
conversation. Go ahead.
Since we're on
Instead
the
of coming to a
Lakers,
screeching halt.
and we were talking about pandemics before. So Lakers and pandemic. This is
Go ahead.
a phrase for Brian Lahey.
Yeah, okay.
Contagious Caldwell Pope.
Hmm,
Yeah, same reaction. Same.
great.
Yeah.
I'm
That'd
glad
be
we
good
came
if
to
he
a
was
screeching
like.
halt for this.
No, that would be good if he was like involved in a super spreader event. That'd be a good headline. I'd pick it up. I'd click.
Mhm.
Great clickbait.
I
It's
think
been a
my favorite
while,
thing
so
about
I had to
KCP
do
was
that.
the ankle bracelet when he
He
was,
was.
On house arrest and could still go to NBA games and had to wear
Still
that.
go to work.
That was the
work
best
re-
thing about him.
What was
work
his
release program.
offense? Was it? It wasn't something like domestic assault, right?
I thought it was drug related.
I
hope
don't know.
it is. That's
If
gonna
it was
come off
drug related, I feel like
extremely.
he would have been tossed from the league. Because I mean, like, look at Tyreek Evans. Is Tyreek Evans reinstated? He just became available again. Maybe.
He's probably on the Pelicans again.
I know OJ Mayo never got reinstated. He was gone for life.
Yeah, but those were different. We talked about this last time. I thought Tyreek Evans was involved in like the business side of like drugs.
Well, then what do you mean for
Selling
KCP?
coke.
What was his deal?
Hold
Well,
on.
one of, if not both of those guys, it was like serious. It was far
it
worse
was a-
than weed.
Yeah, it was a 25
Like,
day
I think it was
jail
heroin.
sentence. This is nothing. 25 days in the clink. That's nothing. Los Angeles Lakers
What?
Contavious Caldwell-Pope is allowed to practice and even play home games as part of his 25-day jail sentence. Yeah, what do you do though?
Did he
Probation
play
violation.
games with the bracelet?
Sure did. One of
Yeah.
the coldest looks in the league. He was put in a drug and alcohol screening program, so I assume it had to do something with drugs.
Yeah.
Jeez, it's part of a deal. I don't feel like reading. Wait,
I wonder
Clearly
if he's
wasn't that big a
endorsed-
deal.
I wonder if he's like signed any endorsements with ankle
That's
bracelet
next.
companies.
Oh, I think I say like drug company, like weed
I was
company.
about to say. I mean, weed's
Yeah,
legal
like
out there,
Safe
so
ADD or like Safe Lock. Be a good one. If only he was like a good player, he'd probably have endorsements coming out the ass. But yeah, going back to whatever I think we're talking about Giannis and CP3. The CP3 at this point, it's just I've seen it every year. Like, yeah,
There's an
CP3 gets
excuse-
far in the playoffs and then chokes.
there's an excuse for him every single year for
Mhm.
why it's not his fault. Every single time in the playoffs, it's not his fault somehow. And I mean, the whole
Unless they
consistent
win.
thing for him. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Except
I mean,
they win. He's fucking John Stockton. But when they lose, nah, man, it's that damn Scott Foster again.
Shit
Also,
like
the
that
media
does
though
me
like
too.
doesn't.
I forgot I tore my hamstring last night. That's right. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I got
The
COVID.
media that loves him like never mentions that he's a dirty player too, which is
Yeah.
what
That's
pisses
the
me off
worst part.
most.
Good call. So actually, good reminder. I did want to hit on that. We're talking about memorable plays. That Chris Paul foul on the alley-oop to me is so crazy. That one
Yeah.
angle where it's Chris Paul, two hands, two nuts. Like
Yeah.
that's not a basketball play at all.
No.
I can't believe that wasn't. Was that a flagrant? Was that anything? That's an
That wasn't a
ejection.
flagrant.
That's
that
a
was
fucking
that was just a
ejection.
loose ball foul. They call it.
What's
I
the
think it
difference
was.
between that and what Draymond got suspended for? Like you're hitting someone in the testicles.
Yeah, and on
Chris
this
Paul's,
one,
I
like,
guess, just happened to be during a basketball play, but it wasn't a basketball defense.
You could argue it's a ball play.
He definitely got all ball. I argued that too.
he was going
That
for
was-
loose balls.
Yeah, that was a loose ball foul for sure. They didn't call it.
He also like I think that's worse than the Draymond one because at least
I don't remember the Draymond
this was on an
one.
alley-oop.
Yeah, but wasn't the Draymond one not during a play? I thought
No,
it
it
was
was
like
during
in
a
the middle. I literally just picture like from like N64 WWF, like coming up from behind and just China like right up in the nuts.
It was something like he and Steve Adams, at least on the second nut shot, he and Steve Adams were either both going up for a rebound or whatever. I don't know if Steve Adams was going for a shot or if they were both going up for a rebound, and Draymond kicked his leg out.
That's why I can't picture it. I keep thinking it was in the Cavs series. It was the final. It was the conference finals. That's right. Okay, gotcha. That makes
because
sense.
he missed 2 games, was it, in the finals because of that suspension? It could have been just one. It could have been one. I just remember him missing time in the finals, and that's why people complain that. That's
if you ask Warriors fans, they treat it like he was out the entire series. That's the only reason they lost that series.
Yeah, of course.
Because generational talent Draymond Green couldn't play 1 or 2 games.
The slightly better version of PJ Tucker, Draymond
That's what
Green.
stinks about. That's what stinks about sports. Like everything has an asterisk now. It's like, if Kevin Durant, I've heard this one all day today. Oh, well, if Kevin Durant wore a size 11 shoe, they'd be in the finals this year. It's like, okay, but he doesn't. Like that, it didn't happen.
Probably wouldn't be in the league if you had feet that small.
Yeah, because I don't think he'd be 7 foot tall with an 11 size shoe. Like, it wouldn't make sense.
But if he did, trust me, parade in Brooklyn right now. It's like everything, dude. Like, and even like today, like there's just everything is such an immediate reaction. Like I said, this morning, there's rumors about Chris Paul going to the Lakers. And, is Giannis going to stay? Now he's going to leave. Who's the face of the league? This and that. It's like, dude, it's like not everything has to be this crazy narrative. Like I get it. News outlets need it to talk about, but that's why I love Giannis, dude. He's just enjoying winning a championship. He's out at Chick-fil-A. He's ordering a bunch of food. He's hanging out with people. He's got to be. And I don't know if you saw that. I don't think we talked about this, but did you see Lahey? I think it was. What the fuck's that show with Emmanuel Acho? You know what I'm talking about? I think you saw that.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. You know that show? It's on Fox.
Yeah.
It bites.
Yeah. It's awful. It's an awful show.
Apparently, like this is like a hot thing now. Like just talking about the faces of various leagues, and if they're not American, like can't happen. But he's basically saying like Giannis can't be the face of the league because I don't think he straight up said like because he's not American. I think he said like because we don't know anything about him or he doesn't have like a history. He's like we know everything about LeBron, we know everything about Kobe, we know about whatever. It's like first of all that tells me you haven't watched the finals because we've learned more about Giannis in the last 2 weeks than the last like 8 years.
Right.
B, he's like, well, we don't know where he's from. We don't know what he's like. We don't know what his family.
Yeah,
like,
what's his wife's name? What's his story? I only know his mom's name because I'm also Nigerian. Was what he said.
Yeah. A, that doesn't matter. And B,
also not relevant.
No.
Yeah, he also brought up like the way he brought up Michael Jordan in that example was like, we know that his dad got murdered. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Where the fuck did that come from? That's not why Michael Jordan is a superstar.
It's only exactly why he's a superstar.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
The murder drove him to be. It's like a Batman situation. He didn't have his dad, so he became the best basketball player of all time. It's the only logical conclusion.
Yeah, I don't know the history of homicides in the Antetokounmpos family, so I will give him that one. But
if anything, they're probably on the right side of a homicide.
Yeah. Definitely.
Knowing that family.
On the right side of history when it comes to Greek homicides.
Does the Nasus get a ring? Because he was on that team but he didn't play at all during the finals, right? Was he even suited up? Because Giannis FaceTimed him and he clearly wasn't even there.
I didn't see that. It might have been his other brother.
I thought that he played on the
Lakers.
I know
he was on the team during the playoffs. He might not have played in the finals.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jeff T got a lot of finals minutes. Far too many finals minutes for my liking.
Yeah.
Dude, the pictures
too.
of him.
I feel like Comiskey played like 40 minutes a game in the last 2 games.
So that was because was it Dario Saric went down for the Suns?
Yeah.
So when he tore his ACL, they're like, "Oh, we literally don't have another big man besides this fucking goober. Let's throw him in and see what happens."
I mean, of course, Phoenix couldn't win. Dario Saric went out in game 1.
Yeah, they were like
asterisks next to this. Jeez.
It's a good thing we have another gangly white guy to put in here.
I mean, if Comiskey went out, you got to just call the series. You got to postpone it like a week. to get
a year
up and running.
Just cancel next season and just pick up in the finals
again. Yeah, I picture like again, like back to WWE, like all hell breaks loose. Earl Hebner just runs in the ring, just ring the bell. We aren't doing this. Sergeant Slaughter comes out and starts breaking up fights. This can't go on any longer. We'll see you next Monday night. They'd be like tough luck for those guys.
Yeah, we should have signed Tyler Zeller too. Hindsight 2020.
You guys want to see a great tweet? Hold on, I'm gonna pull this up. This is egregious. Have you seen this one, Soapy? I think Greeny put it out there. It was like players who have the chance to like win a championship with their original team. Hold on, this is worth it. Trust me. Lahey's gonna not like this at all. Here it is. Here we go. This is a legit. Nah, I don't know if you want to call him legit. He's like a Barstool NBA blogger. Diehard green teamer. Next up for longest tenured one-team players looking to have their Giannis moment. Dame, 9 seasons. Fair. Beal, 9 seasons. Gobert, 8 seasons. Zeller, 8 seasons. Embiid, 7 seasons. Smart, 7 seasons. Jokic, Cat, Booker, Turner, 6 seasons. Are you guys waiting on the edge of your seat for Tyler Zeller to finally get his well-deserved finals moment?
Well, that would have been Cody, right?
Staying home. I don't even know.
I would assume Cody, because Tyler's bounced around.
Where's Cody Zeller?
He's the Hornets.
Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's the one who's been there the entire time?
Yeah.
Who's the one who's on the Celtics? Tyler?
Yeah.
Boy.
I feel like we had this exact conversation last time.
I really do too. We definitely talked about the Zellers because we talked about the Plumleys. And this is a great transition into your topic you wanted to bring up tonight, Soapy. With the families.
Oh, yes.
The 5 families. I'll let you go. I promise I'll let you go in a second. But is it just me or there's never been this many like triplets in the NBA at once? Like the Holidays, the Antetokounmpos. I know the Jokics aren't in the NBA, but he has notable brothers. The Balls. Talked about a lot of balls tonight.
The Jokics just aren't in the NBA because they haven't said we would like to be in the NBA.
Yeah, they just haven't finished their
You
paperwork.
could not say no to those guys.
No.
Dude,
who were they trying to fight at one point in a game? They were in the stands yelling at somebody. They were yelling at Booker.
It was the Sun series. You're right. Yep. They're ready to they don't fight. Like they signal someone in the balcony to shoot you.
It's just murder.
They don't fist fight. Yeah. It's like they look like extras in a Mark Wahlberg Departed sequel. They're the Russian mobsters.
So are we picking which family would win in a fight, or what are we picking?
Oh, I don't know. So stupid ass question.
Yeah, I put that in the note.
Yeah. I want to go back to the picture. The picture's so good, dude. Yeah, dude.
So
these guys look like the Russian Gronkowskis, the Russian mobster Gronkowskis.
Dude, the picture that I got that from said that the smallest Jokic is 6'6", and I'm sure he's 280. Yeah. So yeah, the 3 Jokic brothers versus the 3 basketball playing Antetokounmpos.
Yeah.
Who are all tanks.
I'm going to say the Antetokounmpos because, little known fact, I know Giannis and Thanasis were also in the Greek military. So they have that background of military. Yeah, I'm never going to vote against that.
What do you mean they were in the military?
There's literally, they were
14?
It might have been they were 17. They actually, I saw it online. There's pictures of them in uniform for the Greek military.
Yeah. I think they did it for a summer. I make it sound like a fucking camp or something, but
yeah. Oh, was that all it was?
Wow, Dan really did not like this conversation.
Yeah, I had to step out of the room for that.
Forget about this.
Yeah, anti-military Dan.
Yeah, sorry, I had to just step away, clear my head for a few minutes. What were you saying though? What is this scenario?
If I read it correctly, I think they were in the military for a couple of months, and it was supposed to have been longer, but because they're fucking basketball players or something, they only did it for a summer. But yeah, they were legitimately in the Greek
militia.
Military. So yeah, they have arms training. They've got textbook arms training. The Jokics just learned that on the streets, and also have people working for them to shoot people.
I also just think that the Antetokounmpos are just going to be way faster hands.
Yeah, they're far more athletic.
Yeah,
so that's why I asked. Like, I think Lahey actually asked, like, is it a fight? Like, we're meeting like in the parking lot and we're gonna fight, or like, I don't know, like if it's like an ongoing like mafia type war. Obviously, I think the Jokic family. I think they have the connections to just get you killed at any time.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. When is that? Is that coming out? Like later this summer?
I think that's after
Paramount Network on Peacock.
I think that's after McGregor Poirier 4.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good.
That can't happen. That fight can't happen again.
No, I don't see that happening either. But yeah, there's another family
fist
too.
Fight though.
What?
I'd take the Antetokounmpos in a fist fight. Definitely.
Okay,
they look. The three of them look like. Well, here's the thing. Like, I think those three look like they've been in an organized fight with other people before. The Jokic family, I picture just like at a bar and like someone like bumps the shoulder of one of his brothers, and like out of the departed, just like, hey, fucko. He takes a beer bottle and like smashes it over his head, and then they proceed to like kill those people.
Can you imagine someone Jokic size with his hands trying to smash a beer bottle over someone's head? Like there would be such a small amount of that bottle actually showing, so he can actually smash it over somebody's head. It would just be the same as punching somebody.
A beer glass.
Crush it.
Have you guys, I'm sure you have, like seen those pictures of like Andre the Giant just like holding normal sized things or like doing normal things? Those are so bonkers because it's like, I know they're not photoshopped because they came out before Photoshop was like a thing, but like I remember there is actually a really good documentary on, I think it's HBO, about Andre, but everyone knows like, you know, holding like a beer bottle and stuff looks, all the alcohol stories are obviously crazy. Like he would drink like literally wine by the case.
Like a keg of beer and
like
just like
before
walk away
fucking
like
WrestleMania 3. And then just fight Hulk Hogan like an hour later. But even like they would have highlights of him like just walking to his hotel room holding like a normal size like huge duffel bag or like suitcase, like luggage, just like tossed over his shoulder, like walking around, dude. Just absolute, like some of those photos are absolute bonkers. But yeah, in the documentary, it'd be like Ric Flair, who can also like has crazy drinking stories. Just be like, yeah, like, oh, I just couldn't keep up with Andre, brother. He'd be like 3. Everything with wine was, like I said, by the case. He'd be like 3, 4, and before he finished his sentence, I'd be assuming he's going to say glasses or maybe at the most bottles. 3, 4 cases of wine before we hit our charter flight to fucking Saturday night SmackDown or something. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Andre the Giant would put a suitcase in his pocket like it's a wallet for anyone else.
Yeah, like it's an iPhone. Yeah, good for him. And then I genuinely don't know where he came up in this argument, but I think
that was all you.
I think you said he was like the Jokic's grandfather or something.
Yeah, I think that's the case. No, what's weird about Jokic? Isn't it weird like how this playoffs has played out in the season? Like him being the MVP is just like such an afterthought at this point. Like he's not even talked about anymore as far as like who's the best player left in the game, like face of the franchise.
Yeah.
It's I think we said this last time too. Giannis won the 2 MVPs prior to this one, right?
Yeah.
If that didn't happen, he should win MVP. He should have won MVP this year. Like he was just as good this year, maybe even better. Like without, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but probably make an argument he was an MVP this year too. I just thought of this too. Speaking of like storylines we don't talk about, this finals was so good and he was so good in it. I feel like people also don't talk of the fact that what looked like a season ending like ACL tear or whatever his injury was in the conference finals just legit wasn't a factor. Yeah. Which is just crazy to me. Like when he played game 1, I thought that was bonkers. And then we look at his final stat line and what he's done.
Was game 1 where he scored 40 and they lost, or was that game 2?
I don't think he scored 40 until after game 1. I could be wrong. So
because I know in one of the games he scored 40 and lost. So that must have been game 2.
Yeah.
Which is still crazy, coming back one game and playing injured. And then the next game, clearly not 100%, still drops 40 in a loss to the Suns. That's insane.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It was also in game 1 that he had that chase down block when people were like, yeah, he's probably out here to like give his team a mental lift and he's going to be about 75% of himself. And then, I think it was on Booker too.
I think you're right.
He had 20 and 17 in game 1.
And 17.
Mm-hmm.
Light work.
Yeah. 42 and 12. That was game 2.
Yeah. So those numbers while injured.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's absolutely crazy.
And that wasn't a standard basketball. That was like a pretty standard football injury. Like I feel like you don't see too many of those types.
That was
hyperextension where it bends the wrong way in basketball.
Yeah. That was like a cliche, like non-contact, like receiver just lands like in a preseason game and
the craziest thing when I saw that, I was just like, oh, he tore something, and then he plays. And then when I saw Saric get hurt, I was just like, he probably just like tweaked it and is gonna have to play limited minutes or whatever.
Nah,
like, oh yeah, he blew out everything. Like
he's
ACL, dead. MCL, everything's gone. It's just like, what? It just looked like he landed a little funny. Like it didn't look that big a deal. Like,
built different. Saric is paralyzed from the neck down. He'll be out for the remainder of the game. Return questionable.
Lost all vertebrae.
41 and 13 in game 3. Yeah, Thanos he's played minutes in every game so far. 2 minutes in game 3. So he went 40, game 4. This is just silly. He put up a stinker in game 4, 26 and 14 and 8 assists.
Embarrassing.
Fucking bum.
I'm surprised they didn't send him down to the G League after that one.
No, good grief. Get your ass back on the boat and get the fuck out of here. Go back wherever you came from, you bum. He's getting booed out of the stage, throwing tomatoes at him out of the stadium. And
we
then
want the
game
Nassus.
6,
throwing Greek yogurt at him.
Put in the real Greek.
Throwing Greek tzatziki fries at him.
Yeah. He only had 2 assists in game 6. 50 points, 14 boards, 5 blocks. His blocks are ferocious though too. I feel like there's some players who like, I hate to say it, like I think Rudy Gobert is one of those guys who gets like he'll sneakily have like 3, 4, 5 blocks in a game, but you don't notice any. Like all of Giannis's blocks. Yeah. Like I could have guessed he had like 10 blocks last night just because they seemed like so frequent and violent. That's why I like Rob Williams. Like Rob Williams has good blocks. Like casual, like into this third row, like old school, like Dwight Howard type blocks.
Well, that was the thing. Like if you remember watching Ben Wallace and how he would block people, he could have 2 blocks in a game and you would have remembered both those blocks because of the fact that they would just be fucking 12th row deep, like just launched. Those are more exciting than just like the Jokic, I barely get my hand on it and it counts as a block.
You'd be questioning whether you should still be playing basketball.
Yeah.
Like you got to go back to the huddle and like have a real good sit down with yourself. Look in the mirror and be like, do I really belong here?
KG would do that a lot too. Just like send it way back.
Josh Smith had some aggressive blocks back in the day.
Young
Just
Dwight.
Like, disrespectful. Yeah, Dwight for sure. Dwight would those like the volleyball type, like get that shit out of here.
There's just not a lot of players that do that anymore.
They're all just like off the backboard. I like off the backboard blocks, but there's something about just sending it into the third row, like the clock stops. You just have to like, all right, let's try this again.
There's that embarrassing like 15 seconds where they're getting the ball from the crowd or they're getting a new basketball, like that whole thing where you just gotta sit there and watch and just think, damn man, like I just got smushed. I just got smushed, Parker.
Especially like if the shooter then has to walk by the guy who blocked the shot. Like during the dead ball, I always think it's so funny.
I'll just sub myself out. I'll see myself out.
Coach, I'll just hit the locker room now. I got it.
It's like,
totally understand.
You just see him rip off their jersey.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to like, it's like that kid on the Bills who just retired at halftime like a couple of years ago. I'm just going to file my papers.
Was it Davis, the cornerback? I thought it was the quarterback.
It was a cornerback. Yeah.
I think it was Davis who just like at halftime was just like, nah, I'm set. We're straight.
I really don't see this going anywhere. I think I'm good.
I needed to see 2 more quarters to be sure.
Yeah. My instincts are right all along. I'm going to call it a night. You guys, best of luck to you guys. But I forget if we talked about this last time, but the same thing with like KG when you used to like shoot after a whistle and he would just jump up and grab it out of the air. and be like, you don't even deserve to get a free shot up. I'm taking this. And because you never see what he did after. I picture him like taking it and just like walking back to the huddle with the basketball.
Just carrying it under his arm to bring to the ref.
You cannot shoot here. All right. So what else we got, Soapy? Talked about the finals. Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. Bucks won.
We do that sophomore season one? Who's going to have the best sophomore season?
That was an interesting thought. Real quick before that, going around everything today was like the post game. There's very few things in life that look cooler than like those shots of the MVP with both trophies and like the goggles.
Yeah.
Like the champagne goggles. That's
did you guys see that Monty Williams like went into the locker room?
Yeah, that's cool.
I could never in my life go to a locker room for a team that I just lost the championship to and be like, hey, you guys are awesome. Great series.
Yeah.
You deserve to win. I
think Chris Paul was very confused seeing that. LeBron too. Like, wait a minute, what are you doing? You lost.
You're being nice to them? You're supposed to be petty and have an excuse. Like, what do you mean?
You're in the wrong locker room, old man.
Oh, that's another place where Chris Paul skated. No one mentioned that he didn't stay on the court to like at least shake their hands.
I didn't even notice that. Oh, good point. I didn't even. I think you mentioned this last night, Lahey.
Did any of them?
That's what I think.
There were so many
people
crowded the court that like all of a sudden there were like 5,000 people on the floor, and I'm just like, what the hell happened? I know Devin Booker was on the floor still, but I don't think he said anything to them because
there was nothing.
They just got flooded.
I think they just let in like. They just opened the doors and let in like half of Deer District.
Yeah. Malik Andrews just gets trampled by a stampede going to interviews. There weren't any like major like on-court interviews, I remember. Because all the interviews that I saw, everyone was hammered. Like, so it was after like all the celebrations.
My biggest takeaway was the fact that Drew Holiday does not want to do interviews because he was trying to hand that microphone to Bobby Portis so fast when the crowd started cheering for Bobby. He was like, hey, take it. I don't want to do this. Like, he's just not like that kind of outgoing personality, which is fine. He fits with that team. But
I'm even trying to think to like past recent finals. I feel like the game ends, you celebrate, and then there's like some random clips because the interviews, they're all covered in champagne and are like drunk. So that can't be right at the end of the game. Like obviously not, because there's a clip of Giannis like coming out of the tunnel hammered, like with his goggles and like doing his weird dance, which is excellent. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just a different
last year, didn't LeBron do the give me my damn respect thing or whatever?
Yeah.
Wasn't
that was just with the Lakers?
Yeah, wasn't that in the
that was on the court game?
Yeah,
that's nowhere to go. Like, where are they going to go? Back to their hotel room?
Yeah, right. Go back into the bubble more.
Back into the pandemic.
I can go to the caf and get a sandwich.
I also think too, it just like there was a time like for 5 or 6 years, it was the same 10 years. It was the same teams playing each other, so they knew it. Like, yes, Kevin Durant and LeBron are probably going to dab each other up after the finals because they've been doing it for 5 years. Those two teams, I don't think they even like knew each other.
Yeah.
No. But yeah. Let's end here. That was a good thought. So I think you brought this up, Lahey. Sophomore season, most improved predictions for next year. So if anything else, it made us look back. That was a good draft class.
It was a very good, solid, very strong. Class. Even for just standard starters or solid bench minutes, it was. I think we went down the list and we were at like 10 or 15. Just
the first round back and forth. Good players. I mean, obviously, we got. I mean, Anthony Edwards, Wiseman, LaMelo's Rookie of the Year. Patrick Williams went high. He was a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Killian Hayes was great.
Killian Hayes got
awesome. Hurt. Oh no, who am I thinking? Not Killian Hayes. Who's the other kid on Detroit?
Sadiq Bey.
Bey.
Sadiq Bey was great too. And they had 3. So they had, was it Isaiah Stewart maybe, who also had good minutes and I think by the end of the season he was starting. If not starting, he was their first guy off the bench. So I mean, Detroit really drafted great. I think that injury to Killian Hayes sucked for them because he was promising going into the season and he started the season pretty good.
Yep. Halliburton. Cole Anthony went 15th. He's serviceable. Sadiq Bey. Precious got minutes.
Yeah.
I still really like Quickly.
Yeah.
Peyton Pritchard was a solid bench player in Boston. Desmond Bane was the last pick in the first round. Solid.
Yeah.
Actually, like good. He was a good rookie player.
Yeah.
What else?
Especially by the end of the season, by the tail end of the season, Memphis was using him for heavy minutes in that rotation.
Yep. Kenyon Martin Jr. Great pick.
He was shaped like a fucking popsicle stick, but that Pokashevsky guy was actually a
Yeah.
decent
Great
rookie.
Love that guy.
I'm going to be surprised to see what happens with OKC for next season, just because they have a lot of young talent.
I think they have the first round. They're picking the first round, and then everyone else gets to pick afterwards.
Probably re-sign Chris Paul back.
Oh God, you imagine?
Have him and Kemba.
Good grief, dude! He's 7 foot 190. That can't be healthy.
No,
That makes two of us.
That can't be real. And again, typically you give yourself a few pounds on like your formal listing.
so he's probably like 165.
That can't be hell. He shouldn't be playing competitive sports. He's gonna die. Yeah. 8 points, 5 boards. Hey, you mentioned Phoenix needs a big, bulky big man. Sign the Pokemon.
That's not him.
Sign the Pokemon. Pokemon's a great nickname if he ever makes himself like relevant.
Yeah, that is a very good one.
So Basketball Reference has his name, his actual name spelled out, and then they have like the pronunciation graphic.
And all
under
the letters are different.
Dude, it's 3 lines long. It doesn't help me pronounce his name at all.
They somehow use none of the same letters in the pronunciation as they do in the spelling of his last name.
No kidding. But yeah, next year I think the major guys are gonna have an improved year. Edwards, LaMelo. I think Wiseman can have a good year. I feel good about him. If he maybe bulks up a little bit, who knows where Even's gonna be? I still think Golden State could make a move, and he's still a very, very desirable piece.
I'm wondering what Detroit does.
Yeah,
because I mean, do they draft Cade and use him?
I heard they like him, and vice versa. He's not saying I'm not going to play for Detroit, which is always a good sign.
But again, they have Killian Hayes. Which one becomes the off guard? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they both play with the ball in their hand a lot. So I don't know if that really works. For me personally, if I was Detroit, I would make the decision to either move on from Killian or move on from the 1 pick and trade down and get more assets. I don't know if they'll do either one because they're Detroit, and I don't think they think these things through. But it would make the most sense where you already seemingly could have your point guard of the future. Why draft another one? Or if you don't think Killian's your point guard of the future, trade him, get something else. Because you could probably, even with the injury, probably still get a mid-first round for Killian Hayes. Maybe like a 15 to 20. And that you could take a risk pick for a 2 guard or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw the odds come out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you see the odds for NBA champion next year came out, and the Warriors were like 4th?
How?
So I feel like Vegas thinks that they're going to make it like a huge move this summer, which must include James Wiseman at least.
I mean,
or they're very heavy on Klay Thompson coming back.
I mean, even with Klay coming back, right? Coming back from back-to-back seasons of being out.
Yeah.
And horrific injuries because of that. He's not going to have the same mobility. He's not going to have the same speed or anything like that. So again, he'll still be a great shooter, but his defense is going to take a backseat slide because he was always a top tier defender before that. You can't do that without any lateral quickness. So I
don't think Klay puts them at the 4th best odds. I didn't see that either. So I didn't see that before you mentioned it. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's assuming, what the package would be for Dame? Is that what you're thinking?
Maybe him.
That would make so little sense.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that. I'm very glad you mentioned that before we wrap up, because I've heard that all over the place too. If it's Steph, Klay, and Dame, I don't understand how that works.
No, 2 of them have to have the ball in their hand. Dame doesn't play off the ball. Steph, for the most part, can
I just don't mean how they're on the court at the same time. Do you put Klay at a 3?
And you would have to.
5, 4? I don't know. I hope it's not based around a move for Ben Simmons, because
Steph
That would
at the
probably put
4.
them fourth to last.
Steph
Yeah,
at the
stretch 4, stretch point.
Honestly,
point guard.
the only places that I see Dame possibly going, which I don't even think he's moving based on everything
I
that's
don't
come
either.
out.
No, I don't know.
I mean, it would have been LA, Boston, or Miami. Those would have been the only ones that really made any sense to package any sort of assets to get him. And out of all those teams, I don't think any of them have enough to get someone like
No
Dame.
way. You need something crazy. It's going to be – it has
He's the
to
second
be a
best point guard in the league.
superstar and 3 first-round picks.
Yeah,
or multiple first-round picks.
He's the second best point guard in the league. Any way you slice it, it's Steph, him, Luka. Like, that's the top 3 right there. You're not getting Dame for Marcus Smart and fucking Tristan Thompson. Like, it's not happening.
I wouldn't trade Marcus Smart and Tristan Thompson either. That's definitely not happening. Not my town.
I feel like if he's not a Blazer, I think he'd be a Laker. Because he's had some previous conversations about
fucking
I think he's actually said that it like years ago, someone asked him a Q&A on Twitter or something like that. And he said that like the Lakers would be the team that he would play for. Plus, I think he does have some like we've seen it more recently, but he definitely has connections with LeBron.
Yeah.
He's not a clutch client, is he?
It sucks, but
he might
once a guy starts demanding a trade, and if he says like his specific targets, you pretty much have to like accept whatever is the best possible offer from that team, regardless of if that's actually a good offer relative to like the rest of the league, which sucks. Like the James Harden thing. Like once they say this is where I'm going, they tank their own trade value. So it's like, well, no other team is going to give you that much.
Here's a better one. The Durant one, when he was going into the Nets, they literally traded D'Angelo Russell and 1 first-round pick. And I think, if I remember the story correctly, the first-round pick was only put in there because Durant made a stink that he was worth more than Russell. Yeah. And it's like, really? No shit. You're going to make your team give up assets because you're worth more than the player they're giving up? Like, what kind of fucking ego trip is this?
Yeah.
But I mean, wouldn't you rather have more good players once you get there?
Yeah, like exactly. They could draft somebody with that pick that might be useful, or they could use that to get you somebody else. It was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Hey, you guys should ask for Karis LeVert too. Anyway,
I have a hot take. I think Kawhi is out of here.
Yeah,
I think so too.
And I think it would be interesting if he went to the Warriors.
I don't think. Well,
that'd make more sense than Dame. From like a logistics standpoint.
Yeah, because you could have Kawhi at the 3 easily. I mean, I realistically, myself personally, see Kawhi opting out and going somewhere like Miami.
Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to go to Miami. Miami thinks everybody wants to go to Miami.
Yeah, but it just makes a lot more sense to me to have a team that he goes to with realistically 1 star. I don't think he's going to a team that already has that already has 2 stars. I just don't.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen with Kawhi, I just don't see that happening. Even when he went to the Clippers, they had 1 star and they were getting that star when they got Kawhi.
Yeah, I agree. I think he experimented it, and I don't like this. In San Antonio, it wasn't this big multi-star thing. In Toronto, obviously not. And then he's like, all right, fuck it, I'll try it. Went to LA. Got Paul, because remember, it's not like they brought in, he demanded, he got Paul George there. That was all, like, he has to own that. And if he doesn't like that doesn't work, then that's fine. But you need to own, that's not a Clippers thing. That's not like they would, say no to Paul George, but that was Kawhi's deal. Like, I'm coming and you're getting Paul George.
If he opts out, though, that Clippers franchise is screwed for the next 5 years again.
Yeah, it's the Clippers.
Because
that's the Clippers I want to raise my son on. I don't want him watching a good Clippers team.
They don't have really good young talent. They don't have good quality draft picks right now because they did a bunch of swap picks with their first rounds. So it's not until like fucking 2025 until they actually have their first round pick again.
Mm-hmm.
And
because of the Paul George thing, right? Took a lot of that.
Didn't help.
Yeah.
They lost Shea and a bunch of picks.
Yeah, so if you look at that, you're drafting probably at best tail end of the first round every draft.
Yep.
And you got to get so lucky to get something that you could pair up with Paul George. Paul George, I think, is over 30. He might be like 31, so you're paying him $40 million a year. Mm-hmm. He's only going to get worse from here on out. What do you do? Is Serge Ibaka the answer? Is that how they're going to solve the problem?
Usually is.
People are saying that.
Like, I don't see how the Clippers can rebuild their roster because they don't have the salary cap to make a big free agent signing.
Yeah.
And they don't have the picks to land anybody with assets.
People do make so much about like him being from LA though, so that's the one thing that might keep him there, because that's where I have a hard time seeing, like, he had the perfect situation in Toronto in terms of being like loved by the fan base. He just won a title. I think they're willing to try to spend as much money as possible to get him whatever he wanted, and he still left. So like if he left that, and
I also wouldn't be surprised
LA,
if he could see the writing on the wall with what that roster was going to turn into. I mean, Siakam's a great player. Siakam is not a star caliber, lead the franchise type of player. Kyle Lowry was clearly going to be on the back of his career. You know what I mean? So if you're on that team and you're around those guys enough, you might look at it and be like, look, in 2 years, this team's going to stink. And I don't want to be on this team. When it stinks, I want to be with a contender. So it could have just been simply that, where he's just like, I'm going to get pretty much the same money anywhere. I'm just going to go.
Yeah, Fred VanVleet wasn't a like MVP candidate at that moment.
Yeah.
But also, what if he leaves and somehow just walks across the hall and he's a Laker?
Easy.
That would be
transition.
Miserable. Can you imagine a Lakers roster with Kawhi, LeBron, and AD?
It was close that summer. People were talking about Clippers or Lakers.
That would be absolutely miserable for the league.
And that's what's tough too about this, because we don't know anything about Kawhi. We don't know what he wants to do. He could retire and that's what I was planning on doing, so I'm just going to do it. But end on this. You brought up a good point too, going full circle back to about Giannis and what he's going to do. That's another kind of thing in the favor of the argument of Giannis staying in Milwaukee. He doesn't have a home team to go back and play for.
Yeah. There's no Greek team in the NBA, at least. Like there's just no one there.
And I think that's like always the easy narrative when a player's a free agent. Like, oh, he'll go play home. Like they said about Durant, like, oh, he's going to go to the Wizards, which is never going to happen. Dame in LA, Kawhi in LA. I'm trying to think what else the famous one. Well, LeBron back to Cleveland, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not an option unless he wants to go play in Greece for some reason and just put up like 100 points a game for a year.
He pulls a Rudy Fernandez and goes like, you know what? I'm just going to go back to Spain. Like, I'm just done with this.
I'm just going home.
Well, I haven't been to Milwaukee.
Really
is it anything like Greece? Like, is there a reason that he likes it so much?
They call it the Greece of the Midwest. That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
They call
I mean, I often confuse Lambeau Field for fucking Mykonos Islands. In the middle of December.
Fucking Athens.
yeah. Pfizer Forum has been compared to fucking Acropolis.
I've heard those arguments. Yeah, I've heard that.
Oh my god!
Did you guys see
what's the
Aaron
Brewers
Rodgers?
Field?
The what field?
Brewers Field.
Miller Park.
Yeah,
that's Parthenon right there.
Yeah, Miller Park on a brisk September morning.
Yeah.
More or less one and the same. Yeah.
Did we ever pick our sophomore players for the breakouts? We never did that. We blew right by that.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know. I guess first one I think I said was Wiseman, just because I think he has a lot of potential. He's just a weird body. Killian Hayes coming back from injury is a question mark. I remember I picked Obi Toppin. Obi Tobin for Rookie of the Year going into the season. He was a fucking no-show. I think Quigley had a much better year than Obi without looking at any numbers.
Yeah, for sure.
New York.
Because Quigley was starting at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure.
A minute. Like, he's a solid player. Like, that's the thing about last year's class. There were a bunch of rookies who were solid players. Like, that certainly doesn't happen every year.
So I would say my pick, I'm going to rule out, because I know when I was texting, I said Killian Hayes. I'm going to rule that out because you can't really, with an injury in his rookie season, there's not really much of a sample size to say that he's going to improve on. You know what I mean? Even if he could win that one, I'm just going to throw that one away, just based on the fact that he got hurt. I think the pick that I'm going to go with is Desmond Bane from Memphis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think he's going to be the one that takes a significant jump next year, just because he already had high shooting percentages. By the end of the year, he was already gaining more minutes. And I mean, realistically, they need to figure out something for their two wing players with Morant, and I think they have it with Dylan Brooks. I wouldn't be surprised if Bane becomes the three, the small forward position.
Yeah, he's solid. I think I said this in the group chat too. I'd be interested to see what someone like Aaron Nesmith does with more minutes and a little more confidence going into next season. Because he was a solid bench player.
I was so excited.
Excuse me, towards the end of the year. Yeah, I was too.
I remember going into the draft that night, texting you guys, being like, "If Nesmith falls,
I can't believe he fell.
I would be thrilled for the Celtics to get him." And then he fell, and I was just like, "Holy shit, they got him!" And then Brad Stevens, in classic fashion, was just like, "One game you're gonna get 25 minutes, the next game you're gonna get 3." And I'm not going to explain to you why. You're just going to have to figure it out. It's just like, you can't do that with someone that's 20, 21 years old. You can't dick them around like that. They're not going to develop.
He's behind Jeff Teague and Marcus Smart. I don't know what else he wants. Only so many bodies he can play at Excuse me, NBA champion Jeff Teague, nonetheless.
I'm going to say right in the middle of the draft, I'm going to say Cole Anthony. Not that anyone's going to give a shit about it, but
I like Cole Anthony.
Yeah,
I think that's a great
for the
option.
Orlando Magic. I think he could easily put up like 20 next season.
Yeah, and you got to remember,
has to. Yeah,
was hurt pretty early on in the season and missed all the season. You have Fultz as your point guard. You slide Anthony because he got some size into that 2-guard spot.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him getting a lot more open jumpers, and I mean he can nail them. He had a couple buzzer beaters to win games. He's a clutch shooter, so that Orlando team could be good.
Yeah, no one talks about that. Orlando won games last year. I think they won a few of them.
Yeah, and I know they gave up Vucevic, but they got picks. They have young talent. I think they got Otto Porter Jr., who was on the expiring deal. So they have salary cap space. But I mean, they've got Mobamba, they've got Okiki, they've got Fultz, they've got Anthony. They have talent there. So that'd be interesting to see what they do.
Both of Jonathan Isaac's knees.
Yeah, if Isaac can stay healthy, that's another. I mean, that's been the biggest problem for him, is just blowing out his knee and long-lasting injuries year after year.
Yep. All right. Well, I need to go cook dinner for my family, including you guys. So we will see you guys next time. Brian, thanks for showing up to work again.
Of course.
Very nice of you.
Last time ever.
Yeah,
not doing this
obviously that's
Oh, I thought this was going to be quarterly. Quarterly appearance at the office.
Yikes.
Semi-annually.
Yikes.
All right. See you guys next time. Peace.
See ya.
Peace.